Welcome everybody for jumping on with our 3-day marketing workshop. We are really excited to have you on today. Remember, any questions that you may have, please raise your hand, use the chat. Let's keep this interactive because we really want to make sure that we are going to get some helpful information and things that we can do today. So today we are going to start with our marketing workshop for day one with Agency Revolution. We have a special guest with us, and that would be Joel. And he's really excited to be on with us today. So day one is going to be social media, and he's got some gems in his pocket, he said, for us. So we are really excited about that. So Joel, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to come and present this 3-day marketing workshop for our AsNOA group. We are really excited. So if you would like to go ahead, introduce yourself to our group, and then you can share your screen.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate the time you all giving to us to participate and educate. And that's what we're all about here at Agency Revolution. And certainly, as I had mentioned earlier, it's always a goal whenever we're doing a webinar that obviously we're a company, we're a business, but I want to provide people with things that they can get off the webinar and do today. You don't need to go buy anything. You don't need to go research anything. You can make it happen today. And so that's what we're certainly all about. So I'm going to go about and share my screen here. I think I got the right one up now. So obviously day one of our workshop, we're talking social media best practices for an insurance agency. And that's absolutely what we're going to talk about. I will reiterate something that Laura said before we get too into heavy introductions. AMA, that's what we're talking. That's what we're going to do today. Ask me anything. So use the chat. I'm going to do my absolute best to monitor that. If you have a question about something we're discussing or sharing or whatever have you, ask me anything. Yeah. So fire it out there, and we'll do our absolute best to answer it as we work through here. So this is me. I get a fancy title like that, but here's really where it comes from. For 11 years, I was an independent insurance agent myself. Somewheres along that line, someone introduced me to a company called AgencyRevolution. In fact, it was the owner of the agency that said that at the time and said, you might just be silly enough to do something with this. And boy, I guess they were right. So after a relationship there, when it came time to leave that agency as a career move, it was really a bit of a no-brainer when the then owner of AgencyRevolution reached out to me about 24 hours after that and said, hey, when can you start? And so really exciting for me to now work with and for a company that has impacted my life and impacts the life of independent insurance agencies each and every day. So with that said, I will give you your first social media best practice. If you want social media engagement, you need to engage. And that goes from everything from the agency ownership right down through producers, CSRs, accountants, staff, controllers, whoever you got. If you want engagement, you need to engage. So feel free to connect with me. You can see there's Twitter, LinkedIn there. LinkedIn is my preferred. We'll discuss why I have preferred as we get into social media best practices. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Send me a private message, say, hey, I'm happy to connect. And so that's my way of following best practices. So whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook, or Twitter, anywhere else, if you want engagement, you need to engage. So I'm asking you all to engage with me on LinkedIn and of course, Agency Revolution as well as on all those platforms. But let's get right into it. So why does social media matter? Okay. I think we know this. But I think a lot of people just at face value, we're missing a few points, and we're going to get into that. I think it's a little bit deeper than surface level things that we think we know about social media. Which platforms you should prioritize? No, you don't need to be on all of them every day, all day. Okay. There's certain ones you can strategize, and we'll dig into that. Crafting an optimized profile. You would be amazed how many either agents or agencies just don't take a few moments to make sure that profile picture's right for the instance, or for the usage, or just making sure your title tags and these things are matching and sharing. So it's really just take a few moments to optimize your profile can make a big difference. And what types of content? This is the struggle. Where do we come up with all this content? Where do we find it? It doesn't have to be that hard, and there's great resources. And so we'll look at that, and then creating a posting schedule. So that's, there is a schedule, there are optimal times, there is best practices as far as how often you should post, and it's more than you think. And so that we'll dig into each and every one of these. And then at the end, I say at the end, at some point, we're going to dive off this presentation. I'm going to give you a couple of examples of agencies that I think I don't know that I think they're just doing some cool things that I think each and every one of you could do really easily today, and just probably things you're already doing, but can really have big impact on social media. So why does social media matter? And it matters, okay? It matters on so many levels. For me personally, I believed in social media. I'm not going to pretend to be like a creator of social media or anything like that, but I will say this: when I was working at an insurance agency back in 2008, 9, 10, I believed that there was something there. I said there's something to this, and my thought process is if people I know are arguing with each other about what's on social media or are spending time on social media, we can't be the only people. People are starting to be there. And so the agency I worked at, they gave me the flexibility and the freedom at that time to kind of explore it. And so I saw value. I said, this is where people are. People are online. We're social. We're all about relationships in this business. And that's what social media is all about. And I was quite fortunate to develop a really exciting program, campaign, call it. And really what this is, and this is really can be your strategy for anything you do. When people ask, well, what was your secret to this big success? And we'll get into some of the stats. I always say, well, it was a blind squirrel found a nut is what happened is I believed in something and I want to try it. And yes, we will absolutely share these slides. It's being recorded, so we'll get out there. Thanks, Laura, for answering that as well. But just want to let everybody know I am monitoring that. But I believed in something, and not always when you believe in something and you see opportunity, does it work the first time. There's never a silver bullet in anything you do, whether it's social media or as we talk about email tomorrow or websites on Thursday. There's never a silver bullet. Sometimes it takes time. And when you believe in something and you are willing to change and make effort and find a way, it'll happen. So what my success was is after a few iterations of social media, the agency I worked at, we ended up launching a campaign that saw us go from about 72 likes or followers on our Facebook page to over 16,000 in 30 days. So we became the most liked insurance agency on Facebook. So I'm very proud of that. But as I look back now, there's a few huge mistakes we made ongoing because it was great to have all these followers, but we didn't know what to do with them. And so if we had followed some of these best practices, it would be hugely beneficial at that time. But also how we found these people, how we got this many people engaged really is best practice, and we'll dig into that how you do that. So a little bit of success that I had in the past provides, I think, some great ability to look back and some expertise. But let me tell you, social media does matter. Why does social media matter? Social media is it's building your digital presence. We're far beyond, yes, Thursday we're going to talk about websites and best practices, but we're past the time when simply having a website is what you needed. What we're talking about now is a digital presence which incorporates everything: website, social media, email. All of these things can go into your digital presence, and it has to be done, and you have to put thought into it, and there have to be a strategy there. It's a great place to engage prospects, and I'm going to throw a great big asterisk next to that, because if your eyes have drifted to the right, you're going to see that it's not for sales either, but it is absolutely a great place to engage prospects. It's a great place for you to demonstrate expertise. What I'm about to share with you now, you are going to hear repeatedly over the next 3 days of training, but I will tell you it's key. There are 2 reasons people choose you. There's two reasons people choose your agency. That is your expertise and the relationship you provide. That's why people choose you. So a great place to demonstrate that expertise and that personality, that relationship is certainly social media. It's a place to reinforce that agency brand. And a brand it can very much be a logo, but often runs much deeper than that. As social media, it's a great place to share that. And it's a great place for you to stand up from your competitors. Why people choose you is your relationship. Demonstrate that. But what social media is not or isn't, it's for immediate results. I think this is a lot of agencies fail. They think, oh, I'm gonna throw up my Facebook page, gonna get a few likes. I'm gonna go on LinkedIn and I'm gonna fire some messages or do some cool tweets, and I'm gonna get people requesting quotes. Not the way it works, folks. Not the way it works. Social media, like so many other really strategic and good marketing, is a long play. It's certainly a marathon, not a sprint. It does take time. It takes consistency, but can certainly pay dividends across so many facets. And once again, it's not a one-time thing. It's not a replacement for other marketing. It's not, you can't skip out on everything else and just do social. It needs to be a combination, and it's certainly not for sales. Interesting statistic, 78% of sales reps that use social media outperform peers that don't. So facts. These are facts. So this is why it matters. This is certainly what you should be considering and building out. So what platforms? This is the question. What platforms should you use and prioritize? So there are the big three. There's Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Those are the big three. And on the intro here, I talked about why personally. Well, let's talk personally. So there's Joel Zwicker, the guy, the married with 4 kids, 3 cats, a dog, and 3 rabbits. Yes, it's a hectic household we keep here. For Joel, the personal guy, just because when we think about that, my personal business, I use Facebook for that. And I keep that very truly about for me personally. But I also know my business is working with independent insurance agencies. And so I leverage LinkedIn for that because I'm a B2B, working with that in that world. That's where I focus my attention. It doesn't mean I'm not on Facebook. It doesn't mean that I don't research people on Facebook and those, but most of my content, most of my engagement happens on LinkedIn and Twitter to a certain extent as well. But I've done the research and I understand. Now, there's certainly no reason why you can't have multiple profiles. Certainly on Facebook, you could have a professional profile. You certainly want an agency and agent profiles on any one of these accounts, so you can certainly do that. But I think understanding who your clients are and who they are. So if you're very much a commercial lines focused agent or agency, you want to leverage LinkedIn. It doesn't mean Facebook you can not have. You absolutely should have a Facebook page set up for your business and this type of thing. But you may focus more on LinkedIn, where maybe on the personal line side, you're going to veer towards Facebook or Twitter type of thing. So just understanding who your clients are, who your ideal client is, and that's where you need to focus your attention. Once again, it doesn't absolve you from being on Twitter or on those other places, but you can focus what you're doing more towards one platform or the other. And then we'll get into this, but rehashing or reusing your content in other places is good strategy as well. So, but let's talk Facebook. So we all have Facebook. Let's go back to social media. Let's not pretend that people aren't there. Absolutely are there. It's a massive audience. They're phenomenal targeting tools. If you're not familiar with Facebook targeting tools, they're not hard to use. They can be hugely powerful. Almost scary, scary their ability. But if you think about Facebook in particular, if you're familiar with it, your ability to like pages and follow, whether it's a celebrity or sports teams or just whatever have you, your likes, your personal things on Facebook makes it hugely powerful to target, and you can leverage that as a business. So once again, the take the step back and think about your ideal client. Let me give you an example. When I was an independent insurance agent, one of our strategies is that we weren't going to focus on commercial lines. We weren't going to focus on traditional personal lines anymore. And yes, that sounds crazy, but hear me out for a moment. We decided that we would focus on leisure and lifestyle. We would focus on the toys of life, classic cars, off-road vehicles, snow machines. If you haven't figured it out, I'm the one and only Canadian that kicks around here at AgencyRevolution as well. But snow machines, boats, these types of things, cruiser motorcycles, secondary seasonal homes. So that's where we would focus our attention when it came to whether it was our social or our communication or general marketing. And the reason we did that was because we figured people that have the money to do these things, chances are they have nice homes and other vehicles as well. So it was just a little bit of a strategic play on our part to go after who we wanted. So you can use that if you'd like in the future, if you have the markets for that. But what it really gave us advantage of is targeting. So when we went out, we could look for people that were interested in things like classic cars or sailing or these types of things as their personal interests. That really allowed us to niche in and find it. So, and it's relatively inexpensive to run paid ads on Facebook as well. And you combine that with the ability to get great targeting, it can be a truly great combination. Some of the cons of Facebook: organic posts have low visibility. They do. So you really need to you need to understand the sharing algorithm. So to get things cooking there, I've seen agencies that will pay to boost a post, and that's fine. It's good practice to boost a post, but you almost have to throw a post out there. So here's a little bit of best practice. Sorry, I'll share this with you. So if you're going to do this on Facebook, the best practice is throw a post out there to see if it gets engagement. If it gets engagement, then you may want to pay to boost it, right? Far too many people throw a post that you think's going to be good, and then you boost it, but it never really gets any engagement either. So you kind of that's a little bit of strategy there. You got to throw a post out there, see if it gets some organic action, and when it does, then you pray the boost. So certainly some benefits of Facebook, and a few little cons there.
Hey, Joel.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I got a quick question. What does boosting your Facebook post provide?
It just provides increased visibility. So that's all it does. It's going to put it in front of more people. That's really all it does. Now, if you're obviously targeting, and once again, if I'll go back here a screen, if you're targeting, but what it's doing, it's basically putting that post in front of more people. It's Facebook inevitably is a pay to play type situation. So that's why. So if you can get some organic traction going, that always helps. And then you boost it, you pay to throw it out in front of more people, and those people see, oh, there are people liking or looking or doing these things. It just gets the ball rolling a little bit better.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So some great Facebook stats here. 70% of high income earners use Facebook, surpassing both LinkedIn and Twitter at 50 and 35%. So, regardless of who your target market is, chances are, well, at a professional level, they may not necessarily engage on Facebook. At a personal level, they do, and people make decisions every day on where to buy their insurance. So keep that in the back of your mind. 70% of Facebook users claim they visit the site daily. And then there's addicts like the rest of us that probably shamefully say that I wouldn't want to even guess how many times I check Facebook in the run of a day, with 49% of the platform checking several times per day. I guess to say I fall into the 49%. So that's a lot. If you think of the places where people are looking, I always say when it comes to marketing best practices in general, moving away from social media in general, one of the best pieces of advice I received, and I certainly adopted into my marketing, was you always want to be where people's eyes are. So that's where you want to spend your marketing dollars or your time, is where people's eyes are. And guess what? Whether you like to admit it or not, people's eyes are here. And 93% of businesses are active on Facebook. People are 5 times more likely to discover and or evaluate auto insurance on Facebook than quote aggregators. So that's a pretty big thing. And so Let me add another little caveat here to the Facebook in particular. This plays to all social media. People, you're mistaken if you think. I'm just trying to think of the best. So let me put it to you this way: you're probably on this call, and you may or may not be engaged on social media, and you're probably thinking the majority of my business comes from referrals. I will say, welcome to the club. Okay. The majority of independent insurance agencies across this country know that the majority of their business comes via word of mouth or referrals. That is a true statement. But being engaged and having an effective social media presence will boost your referrals. Because what I think a lot of people think when Laura refers me to your agency, you're just assuming that I'm calling you blindly. Hey, Laura said. That's not how it works in a lot of cases. I may get a referral from Laura. Laura may refer me to an agency, but I'm going to do some research. I'm going to check them out. I'm going to Google search, or I'm going to do whatever. I'm going to find them. I am going to check out their website. I'm going to check out their social. I'm going to see if they're relevant. I'm going to see if they exist, see if they're real. So whether you spend all day going in and posting, or you simply are leveraging some of the tools at your fingertips to just engage at some level on social platforms, it's absolutely critical, and it will boost things like referrals that you think may have nothing to do with social media, but they absolutely do, because people are researching you. So don't fall into that trap of thinking, hey, majority of my business comes from referrals, I really don't need to be here. This can be a huge benefit to your referral program. And it's a great place for content, which we'll get into. So LinkedIn pros: message and conversation ads are effective introductions. Profile pages are designed to show your benefits. So LinkedIn is great for if you are a commercial lines in particular, or you have some niches, or if you're just looking to educate yourself on a business or a niche, this is a great place to be. You heard me mention expertise and relationship. Those are the two reasons people choose you. There is really no better social platform to share expertise than LinkedIn. And certainly, if you're engaged in LinkedIn, you'll see you can pick out the people really quickly that aren't quite necessarily following that practice, or say, call us today for a quote on this, or where. Educate me. This is a place where you can educate and share expertise. Great place to do that. The cons, there's some subscriptions required for if you really want to engage. Like, you can get some different things. You don't need them. You don't need them if you're really out there. Do they provide cool things? Absolutely. You can do some great segmentation and targeting for leads and possible prospects. Absolutely allows you to contact them directly. But you certainly don't need them. I go in and out whether I use the paid version, and once again, we're working with independent insurance agencies all day, every day. So, but that can be a con, can be and been very B2B focused, and not a place that necessarily. Once again, it's not a place that you veer away from personal lines. You certainly can, because obviously those are people that may have resource or may be possible prospects, but certainly a great place to focus on business or niches that you may have. LinkedIn statistics: 89% of B2B marketers use LinkedIn for lead gen. So facts. It's a great place to do so. 62% say LinkedIn successfully generates leads, and I will attest that it absolutely does. So I get to be the insurance evangelist now for a long time. I've been here at AgencyRevolution, obviously working with agencies, finding agencies. It's always been my practice that, and this could be just great advice. I start off saying, if you want engagement, you need to engage. Basically, anybody I've ever had a meeting with, I've sent a LinkedIn connect request. I've tried to connect with them on LinkedIn, and so that just inevitably builds a following. So you end up with a couple thousand people in the insurance industry that are connected with you. So if you're meeting with someone, think about that. That's a great place to engage with them. LinkedIn, 277% more effective for lead generation than Facebook and Twitter. I think it is what it is. I think people understand that LinkedIn, yes, is still a social platform, but it is people in business. So you do have that expectation. So it does. become a little bit more welcoming, and people are out there actively looking for things as well. Companies that post weekly on LinkedIn see 2 times higher engagement rate. So the more you post, the more engagement. Great place to show expertise. So it only makes sense. The cost of a lead is up to 28% cheaper on LinkedIn. So once again, very inexpensive place to find leads and prospects, especially if you have a niche or a target market that makes sense for. Twitter. This is a place that I'm going to be completely transparent. I am not what you would call necessarily the subject matter expert Twitter. I get somewhat addicted to Twitter from time to time because it's fun, but it's so short. And you'll see that's kind of one of the cons here. The life cycle on a post is so short, but wow, if you want to know what's going on in the moment, there's no better place to look than Twitter. It enables a very personal engagement. So very, very close engagement there. It's really easy to grow a community there, much easier than Facebook or LinkedIn. So that can be a benefit. And it's great for recent and trending topics. So like I said, if you want to know what's going on in the moment, that's a great place to find it. It can be a very volatile community, good, bad, or other. So the paid ads are very expensive and can be generally ineffective for, once again, their short life cycle of posts there on Twitter. So once we get into best practice, you'll see you got to post to Twitter a lot to be effective. And I have a question here from Shauna, and I've not read it, so I'm going to read it live. And if you're throwing me under the bus, Shauna, I'll take it. So we know that when we talk around our phones, that ads will pop up about what we talk about, whether it's power washing or receipts. How do you get your agency ads to pop up in that way? I'm not really sure when you're talking on the phone what the connection there, but what I can say is targeting on social media can be hugely powerful. And because any social media, it's easy to target someone based on their personal likes. And certainly if you go to the LinkedIn side, you can see what someone's for lack of a pay grade is. You want to target people that are at a C level or maybe an accounts level, wherever it is you're starting to target. So you can very much target on that. And so what happens is, what I think you're talking about is it's basically a retargeting or remarketing strategy. So what that is based on, for example, if we were doing retargeting here at Agency Revolution and you did a search for Agency Revolution, or you came to our website. And so you did that, you went to agencyrevolution.com, you checked something out or whatever have you, and then you ventured off to wherever, a social platform or somewhere else. So often Google display ads will pop up with Agency Revolution. It's like, these people are following us. It's like someone's following you. That's retargeting or remarketing. So if you search for something, those ads come up because then they're paying for that. So if someone has found me or searched for similar things, then those ads will pop up. And so typically you can do that on any of the platforms. Google display ads are probably going to be your most powerful. So it's not limited to social media, whether someone's on any given website or on a blog, podcast, everything has those display ads on the side, but that's how they do that. So essentially, Shauna, it's the recognition of either someone being directly on your website or searching for parameters that you want to target, and then getting display ads up in there. So to kind of follow you around based on what your search practices are. Hopefully that answers that question accurately. But remarketing or retargeting can be powerful, and as annoying as it is, I know we have all fell victim to it. I know I certainly have from time to time. Some stats on Twitter. So 54% of users surveyed by Twitter reported they had engaged a business or service provided after seeing them mentioned in a tweet. So, and I know myself, I certainly have done that. Often, once again, social media can be a double-edged sword. I know for me personally, Twitter's often a great place to get the attention of someone, of a business. So that kind of reflects to that. 53% of people on Twitter are more likely to be the first to buy new products. So certainly they're cutting edge, they're leading, they're quick to jump on. Twitter has the lowest cost per 1,000 of impressions, so that's good than any of the other social media. Once again, you can easily get in front of lots of people, but that lifespan is really short. So it is a double-edged sword there. 30% of consumers want to see brands using Twitter more. So people, I think, inevitably our attention spans are this big, and so that's good because Twitter's shelf life is post is that big, and that's what people want. So that's why I think why you want people want to see that happening more. So other platforms. Instagram, TikTok, just to name a few. So Instagram, once again, can be hugely powerful, but it's very in the moment. It's very personal. So, I think you need to, if you're going to engage there, it's something you're going to have to commit to because you're probably something you're going to have to do more than once a day. So this is a great place that maybe if you were going to get your staff involved. So if you have an office with more than 2, 3, 4, whatever, 10 of you, you may be able to leverage that effectively. TikTok can be really fun. I have an agency actually I use as an example. I think does a great job leveraging TikTok and his referral program, but then also gets that out to other social platforms as well. So it can be really, really productive, really fun thing to do, and you may consider using them as well. So how to craft an optimized profile. And yes, that, how could you cannot get a better profile picture than that. That's my personal opinion. And so, but frame your head and shoulders. Listen, log into LinkedIn, go through your connections or your potential connections and go through, and you'll see people and you'll know what I'm talking about. People make bad decisions on their profile pictures. Please understand that this is why you may want to consider, you should always consider the fact that you're in business, and regardless of what you may be posting, as much as you may try to hide it, someone may see it. It doesn't say you can't ever put anything a little crazy out there, but particularly your profile picture for your individual self, just think about it a little bit. Make eye contact as best you can with the camera. Use a color photo, no black and whites, I forget. I'm not a photographer. Sorry. Those other filters you can put in there. Find a good lighting. Once again, with anything you do, the best light you can often get is probably just a window. A window, you don't need fancy lights, but if you just get a good picture with some decent lighting, you'll be good. Veer away from the busy backgrounds. I'm not saying it can't be in your office or something like that, but veer away from those sandy beaches and palm trees or the local bar. Think about those things. Stay away from it. Showcase your personality as best you can. Not always that easy to do, but I certainly think you can certainly do that. And consider the write-up. So this is where I actually needed some help, and I learned a lot. You can see my write-up, and this is my LinkedIn profile here. So I am the insurance evangelist. I help tell me a little bit more about my story, what we're doing, what we want to do, and why people should connect or follow with you. So it doesn't have to be like call me today for a quote. It's like protecting the material well-being of our communities while communicating better with you, to keeping you up to date on things that could impact those. So follow me for best practices with respect to your insurance needs, and also what's going on in our community. That might be an example of something you may want to put on there. Your brand promise. Consider this. Yes, social media is important. Marketing in general is what we're going to talk about: email, websites, all these things. But you have to know who you are, right? So who is reading this? Why are they reading this? Why would somebody read this? What do they need from you? And it's not always a quote, okay? How do they get it? What's the best way to do these things? What's the best way to communicate with you? If someone's looking for advice, if they're looking for best practices, if they're looking for exactly what you do, think about all these things. Communicate your values through unique value proposition. You can use this, you can put in your profile description. And once again, it's not always call or click today for a quote, right? Remember, people choose you for two reasons: your expertise and the relationship they can offer. So if they're finding your agency's LinkedIn or Facebook page, it's probably because they've got there through great content or some sort of relationship. Because if they were looking for the cheapest quick quote, they probably would have just Googled that and found some aggregator or whatnot online. So think about that when you're developing your brand promise or your descriptions.
Hey,
on your
Joel, I got a question for you.
Please.
I'm a new agent and keep putting off getting a logo? Should I design a logo right away?
Absolutely. I think I'm a big believer in brands. Some of the best advice, sorry, not necessarily social media, but I think a lot of times, some of the best advice I've gotten from agencies over the years, I think a lot of us always, the Joel Zwicker Insurance Agency, um, removing your name while it is about relationships can sometimes behoove you in the future, but putting something together, people keep it simple. Remember, you may want to make a t-shirt or a hat someday, so if it's not too intricate, but I think that helps with the brand. If you think about social media, there's a profile picture, and so obviously if you're doing a personal page, you may put your personal picture, but if it's the agency, the agency, if you want your image to be that, then that can be, but as you grow, that becomes increasingly difficult necessarily, and other people, it may not behoove them. So having some sort of imagery that reflective of your agency, and there's great places to get logos that is not terribly expensive. You don't necessarily always have to go to a graphic designer to do that. There's things out there and companies out there that can help that at scale and make it really easy. So I would recommend that, having some sort of imagery, brand, logo, call it what you want, that's reflective of your agency. Once again, not a place that you don't want to spend any time. Don't do it quick, but think about it. Make sure it's a representation, and then use it, right? And consider coloration in that as well when you're doing that. But yes, a short answer: you should absolutely consider a logo, even at an early stages of an agency.
Great, thank you.
Absolutely. So here's an example of a brand promise. This is an agency I'm super familiar with, and you'll see here that there's not necessarily a call. There's some calls to action here, but you can read this. But I've been blessed to own and operate my family-oriented independent insurance agency for over 40 years. So expertise, family-oriented. You're painting a picture. They love working with their team, experienced insurance professionals who are so deeply protecting our clients' belongings and savings, right? So they're painting a picture here. We're representing only the highest quality and family insurance qualities. You see the word family coming up here. You can start to feel what this agency is. They're painting a picture, right? Giving us the opportunity to custom fit our clients' needs for the best provider. No wonder our answer is your agents of choice, right? So they have choice, it's family, and then of course they're listing off some of their specialties here. This is a great brand promise. Great example, painting the picture. Like I said, there's no silver bullet here, but you just take a step back. And I'm actually, once we get to the end, I'm going to walk you through a bit of our process at the agency when we were so successful on Facebook, but some of our process that led us to the brand promise that, or at least our image that we believe we were. What type of content should you post? Isn't this the tough part? What type of content? Where do you find it? Oops, I think I went too far there. I did. Really simply, what type of content should you post? You should have definitely define your voice. How technical that you're going to be when you're posting. Friendly, professional, or caring. There can be both. I try to be the expert, but I think I come across personally as someone that is generally happy, maybe a little bit friendly, tries to pull off professional at time, try to pull it off. But think about all these things. But I think maybe the most important part is let the audience see behind the curtain. That's what people are looking for, is that relationship. So letting people see that behind the virtual screen, there's a pile of toys here because the kids were down here this morning. But that's not what I'm talking about, is letting them know a little bit about more about your agency, what you're about, dig in a little bit there. It's a great place to do that. But just think about that. There should be some consistency. You don't want to go from the lows to highs. So keeping it consistent, that doesn't mean it necessarily always has to be the same person that's posting. So when I say that, so you're going to have the agency posts, which we'll get into, which will come from the agency's voice, but someone else, like AgencyRevolution, has a voice out there. So when you see a post from AgencyRevolution, we have there's a post out there, but then you'll see a post from Joel, the insurance evangelist, and my voice is obviously, we're connected, we're connected in what we're saying, but the voice is a little different. I present a little differently than necessarily the corporate image. So that's what we're talking about here is what is the voice of your agency, and then an individual may have something different, and it's okay to have multiple individuals involved here. Um, so here's we're getting back expertise, personality. When I say personality here, we're looking at the relationship. So the content you post should always show those two things, and they don't have to be mutually exclusive. It doesn't have to be one or the other. You can certainly do both. But post expertise, these are places where you probably have to be involved, quite frankly. So here at Agency Revolution, we provide great content to insurance agencies. Of course we do. That's something we're proud of, and we can certainly help you with that. But I think to show expertise, this is a great place for you to show that very specific niche expertise. And when I say niche, that I'm not talking exclusively to commercial lines folks. You certainly should and can be niched up, sorry, terminology there, in personal lines as well. I'm a big believer in that. So the more specific you can be, the better, the more likely it is that your expertise is going to show, but you should always be considering that. And once again, your personality should shine. People buy from people they like. People engage with people they like. And so if your personality, you can share that. I assure you, while we may not know each other, people love each and every one of you. So don't be scared to show that each and every time that you're going to post. Some content examples. So content showing expertise can be simple tips. Could be tips, could be coverage examples, maybe some claims experience, some things in the industry news. There's all kinds of great examples of showing expertise, right? And then you're going to post showing personality as well. So inspirational quotes, maybe hobbies and interests, things that veer away necessarily from insurance specific type topics. So a mix of those two things is absolutely best practice. And here's one place that agencies just don't do enough of: events. You are the pillar of your community. Your agency is the pillar of the community, and you're involved in so much. And I think sometimes we don't think about it, and then sometimes we don't, because that's not why we do things. We don't sponsor, we don't get involved, we don't volunteer necessarily for the hoopla or to garner a bunch of business. That's not why we do it. But and that's fair, and I was certainly in that same boat. But I want you to think about this for a moment. The greatest gift you can give to a group or an organization or an event that you're involved with is exposure and attendance. The more people that know about something, the more people that attend, the easier it is for them to achieve their goals, whether it's fundraising or something else. That's the greatest gift you can give them. So don't be scared to share things that you're involved with, whether it's just you're doing something on the weekend, one person doing something, or something you're sponsoring as an agency, whatever have you. Give that group, that event, whatever have you, the exposure that it deserves. And that certainly is a great place for you to share build your relationship, show what you're all about. I know that can be tough, and once again, I'll share a little bit about my own personal experience in this as we get nearer to the end here. But don't be scared to have fun, and this is a great place. Think about that. Great place to post and keep those events. Your team. I've seen some agencies do some great jobs. Look around your office. Someone's always having a birthday. It's their work anniversary. They've been recognized by the industry or the community. Someone's had a grandchild, a child, a niece, a nephew, whatever, a new puppy, a new kitten, whatever the case is. These are great things to highlight. Snap a quick picture, throw it out there on social. Once again, it shows personality, it shows engagement, and people will like those types of things. So highlight a team member, encouraging employees to do the same thing. So you can certainly, one best practice, if you know the agency has got some posts, encourage your staff to log on, click, like, share it, whatever have you. That's only going to help your digital presence. Repurposing content. Yes, you can do this. You heard me mention it earlier. Repurpose, go crazy. Content is hard to create. It takes time, and we have to think about it. So why only use it once? Use it all the time. Take blog posts to ebooks, safety checklist to video to a post. It's if you're thinking about, I know myself, I always struggle with typing. Like, type, and my grammar, thank goodness for things like Grammarly that help me out there a little bit. Sometimes it's just easier to grab the old phone and do a video. So do it. Share a video, and throw it out there. You can throw it on social, maybe then you email it. You can even throw it on your website, depending what it is. Turning those testimonials to case studies, and turning those, and we'll see an example of this, turning those testimonials or reviews into social content is social proof is very powerful. So there's all kinds of things that you can be doing and use them in multiple different places. Repurpose, and oftentimes don't throw that stuff away, because you can use it today, and if it was a good quality piece of content, you're going to be able to use it again down the road. So it certainly doesn't mean in the moment sharing it on multiple different platforms. It can be shared down the road once again. So good content is good content, and you can keep it for a very long time and use it in multiple different facets.
Joel, real quick.
Sure.
Do you think that video posting do you get better hits on that, better likes than opposed to just a regular post you might have stole from a carrier or whatnot?
You do, and somewheres on, and I should know it, but I don't. I'm not gonna just guess off the top of my head. We have a stat somewheres, because I've done some work on video. Yes, absolutely. I recently, and I say recently, I think it's been a year now, but we did a webinar here at AgencyRevolution on SEO. So this is, but social media plays into that. And in this industry, in the insurance industry, the number one most underused strategy is video. And not enough agents are doing it. Not enough agencies are incorporating it. And you absolutely should. Video will get more engagement on social. It can pay huge dividends for SEO purposes, because you can use it in so many different places, and it can be reused. It can save your staff time. You do a great video on what to do in the event of a claim. You do a video. It's a great social post. It's a great thing to put on your website, so then people can engage with it there. It's a great thing to do all kinds of different things. Someone's coming into your office, hey, here's what you do, but hey, there's also a video on exactly what to do on our website as well. So please use video. Listen, if I can do video and be moderately successful at it, anybody can. Okay. I think a lot of times we get caught up in some shall we say, the pride of it all, or just worried what people might think, or my hair's not quite right, my shirt's not in the my lighting's not. Listen, all you need to do great video is really a window and your phone. That's it. Put the window in front of you, put the phone here, you stand looking at the window, perfect light will come from the window. Do your video and share your expertise, share your personality. If you want to do just a simple post, maybe 30 seconds, maybe someone's come in and had a question, answer that question. Great social post instantly. Or if you want to get into the more long, like video or vlogs, sit down, have a conversation, talk about your expertise, and you can do that. So once again, only things you need: window and a phone. If you got those two things, you can do great video. So you absolutely should be. So
yeah, that's great information. There's one of our agents that does a lot of videos, and he was posting, what's coming up in the community, and then tagging the chamber, and then he's tagging, somebody having an open house or a ribbon cutting, or, he was doing all of that and telling people at the parade, hey, you don't want to go down this road because it's already closed. So that was great information.
Absolutely. If you want social engagement, you need to engage. So tagging people and responding and wishing people happy birthday is part of the equation. So great advice, and certainly a best practice.
Thanks.
Creating a posting schedule. So there is strategy here. And so Facebook, post once a day. You need to post at least once a day. I know you may think that's too much. It's not. Once a day. Optimal times, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. It certainly doesn't mean you can't post outside of these. Just saying that this is strategically when most eyes are on there, and behove you the best. So Twitter, this is the tough one, 3 to 5 times a day. So unless you're really engaged with Twitter, to remember to do something 3 to 5 times a day can be tough. You can certainly but that's the best thing. And before 3 p.m. LinkedIn, one post a day, similar timelines there to Facebook, just shrinks in there a little bit to noontime, excuse me. But these are just the optimal times, but certainly the number of times you're posting a day is critical. And so once again, you can leverage multiple different things. You can leverage content sources like ourselves here at AgencyRevolution to help you, so you don't have to be creating every day. You should certainly be using a social scheduler. If you don't know what a social scheduler is, it's a singular platform that allows you to create a post, and it will get the post out to Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, so you don't have to log into each one of those things. Which just reminded me, this will make your life just a little tougher. But you asked about video, Laura. If you're using video, absolutely, and you should upload the video natively to each one of the platforms. So Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. If you're doing a video, the easy thing to do is to upload it to YouTube and then share the link everywhere. Yes, you can do that, but if you want best results on social, you should upload the video natively to each one of those platforms. So just another little tidbit as we continue to move forward. So
another quick question.
Sure.
Social scheduler, is that another app?
Yeah. Yeah, just Google search social schedulers. If you're an AgencyRevolution client or a website client, you have access to a social scheduler on your website, but you can go out and find social schedulers. I want to think one is Buffer and there's others. But yeah, if you just do a quick Google search of a social scheduler, you just connect your social sites and allows you to post out.
Great, thanks.
Absolutely. So this kind of gets into that automated versus in-person. Social requires both, because we know you're busy. You're busy at an insurance agent. You don't have time necessarily to go on. So you can set automated posting. So you can set your posts out for the next, or at least 4 or 5 days of the week, so you don't have to remember, and sets a great foundational. So those are your foundational pieces, and then your in-person is where you just take it to the next level. So if you have automated posting, something that's scheduled out doing 3, 4, 5 times a week, then you don't have to remember that. Then you can do 2 or 3 times a week, much more able to do that as an agency. So leveraging both, it makes your life a lot easier. Just consider that. So don't be scared of automated posting. There's nothing to be scared there of it. But it's not a replacement for in-person posting. So a truly winning combination is a little bit of both. Now, we're not going to do Q&A yet. I'm going to take it to some examples. Okay. So I'm getting out of this. And so first place I want to take you here to is the Van Scooter Insurance Agency. So if you want a good follow, check out Van Scooter Insurance Agency. And I'm highlighting these because he does a great job with TikTok, and he highlights, does a great job with video. He often, this is a recent video he did, would your house pass an insurance inspection? Great place to share expertise, but also, and I could scroll down here, but I don't want to give everybody vertigo with scrolling on social. But this is a great, he also does a great job with his referral program. And he uses in combination with Facebook and LinkedIn, but also TikTok. So he often takes TikTok and gets it out on his social. So I just think this is a great place for y'all to check out. Best practices, does a great job sharing his expertise, but also highlighting those referrals. So that's really a great best practice that you could check out. So Van Scooter Insurance Agency is a great place to check out. InsureZone Insurance Services. I like these guys do a great job of really combining 2 things. It's leveraging the share of a Google review out there. So you can see here, but they combine it with highlighting their staff. So if a review comes in that specifically mentions a staff member, they highlight that as well, which is a great strategy. So they're highlighting that Google review, that testimonial, in conjunction with a staff member. So they do a great job of that. So this is on their LinkedIn page. So InsureZone Insurance Services, you can check them out. So they do a great job of that. And they also do a great job of just highlighting staff members in general. They're a bit of a bigger organization, so they have lots to choose from, but they're always highlighting someone, to give a little bit of their story and this type of thing. So I think that's a truly great example. And then from my personal experience, so this is the insurance agency that I formerly worked at. And so the reason this was powerful was this was the initiative that we give. And what I want to do is I want to walk you through just quickly here where this idea came from. So we were an agency, and probably like you, someone's always coming through your door asking for a donation, a sponsorship, or something. And you can, if you start keeping track of it, it gets to be a lot. And it's not that you don't want to help everybody, but at a certain point, you just have to say, okay, what are we all about? So we took a step back and we thought about, what are we all about? So what are we all about was, we're all about our communities. And our communities here, we live in a very rural part of the world. In our communities, we're all about the volunteer. Our volunteers run on, our communities run on volunteers. Every event, everything, it's always usually volunteers that make it happen. But at the core of that, at the heartbeat of every community, is the fire department. Where I live in our community, every fire department is volunteer. When a fire happens, when an accident happens and that bell rings, it's someone running out of the hardware store, it's the insurance agent running down, it's someone that's making pizzas, someone at the grocery store, whatever that it is, they're running out of those businesses to man or woman those fire trucks. And so at the core of our community, well, it's the volunteer, but that fire department. So we were like, hey, we typically do some donations to fire departments throughout the year. Why don't we just engage on social media? So we created the fire hall contest, and our goal was just, hey, we'll give some exposure, because there was lots of need for more volunteers, as always. And you know what, we're going to make the donation anyway. So our hope is if we do this, if we can get 10 to 15 fire departments involved, and then if we get like 1,000 people on our Facebook page over the course of a month, that would be a huge success. And so at the end of it, I'll sum it all up because I could do probably an hour on this. What we ended up with was obviously in excess of 16,000 people engaged with us and following and liking us on our Facebook page. Over 100 volunteer fire departments throughout our area were engaged with us, and got numerous call outs and within government and within the community for the work that we did. And what we found out later is that volunteerism within the fire halls spiked after we do this. And now this is an annual event that the agency continues to do. But once again, yes, it's cool to have all those likes. You know, the agency now has excess of 20-some thousand likes on their Facebook, which is all really cool. But the reason that all happened was we did it for the right reasons. We thought about, what are we about? What is our story? Who it is it that you know, it doesn't mean that we don't sponsor the hospital or do something here with Little League, but our focus as an agency is here. This is what we're all about. This is what we want to support. And we did it for all the right reasons. If nobody liked our Facebook page, if nobody, we were still going to donate the money anyway. And because we always would. And so I think when it showed, we told our story, we thought about who we were, and we shared that with the world. The world came back to us in spades. So I share that with you as a strategy. Yes, it's cool. You can certainly check out the Facebook page. There's a lot of action there. But it's the process of just thinking about who you are, what you're all about, and telling your story, and then engaging with those on social media. So I will say this, as we have a very short amount of time, and you may see other fire hall contests out in the world. I know there's some carriers out there that have them in the background of the agencies. I am proud to say that we were the first. So that's my little bit of gloating there on that. So you'll forgive that, but best practice there, certainly check that out. So with that said, if there's any other questions, please ask. I appreciate Laura, you've been great asking. Shauna came in with a question. And so please fire away with any additional questions. I'm happy to answer. Yeah, Laura, that was pretty good. 3 minutes to spare.
That's right. You did an amazing job. That was some great information for our group. Hey, I wanted to ask everybody if they are all using social media for their agencies, or if they're just using one. You know, that would be great. You know, I'm all about, you know, everybody helping everybody to get those ideas out there on what's working for them. So Jamie's using Facebook only so far. Jamie, I could see you doing LinkedIn as well right away. I think that would be great too. Anybody else using anything that they wanted to share with us? Any great ideas?
Miranda is having she has a profile on LinkedIn, Facebook. So once again, I think it's great that I think we probably all have personal, but it's it's the real strategy behind it is finding out, knowing who your clients are, who's your ideal client, and where are they. Certainly setting up a profile and being in existence everywhere is important, but maybe where you spend the most of your focus, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter, is there to you just kind of decide that. I did see an interesting LinkedIn, but wanting more strategy from this where to really go after it. So LinkedIn, if it was going to strategize on LinkedIn, number one, if you're going to really focus on LinkedIn, you're going to want to pay for premium, and from there you can really get strategic on who you want to target. It's going to provide you with a great target list, the ability to decipher whether it's by region, company name, and then titles and these types of things. So you can really hone in on those people, and then you can go after them there. And then once again, whether it's LinkedIn or Facebook or any other thing, you need to know who your clients are. And the more specific you can be, the better off you're going to be. Let me give you an example. One of our clients, and if you're looking, and sorry, the question that came from Nick, I'm guessing if you're asking LinkedIn, you're probably commercial lines. So we have a client who his commercial focus is laundromats. And I know that's probably not at the top of, like, if I'm going to make good money off niches, laundromats is where it's at. Like, I know that's not there, but he knows that industry in and out, upside and down, better than anyone. So he is really able to share expertise. So Nick, my advice to you would be really know your niche, know your expertise, and then that's your strategy, is how do you get that expertise, that strategy out to as many people as possible. So then when you start using premium on LinkedIn to target, you can get very specific. I'm only looking for people that are in this industry, and I only want decision makers, whoever that is for you.
Yeah, that's great. We got another question from Kelsey. Is there a way to connect your Facebook and Instagram so you just post one through both platforms?
I think so. I'm not an expert on Instagram, if I'm going to be completely transparent there. But a lot of social schedulers will allow you to do that, so you can create that social scheduler. So you heard me mention earlier, social scheduler. So you should be able to do that through that, or
right,
through them. Sorry.
Looks like a lot of people are using Facebook and then now just getting into LinkedIn. So this is some great information for them to continue on with their marketing skills for social media.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah, this is fantastic. Thank you so much, Joel. We're right at the 2:00 hour. I appreciate everything that you have given us today. I love your saying, if you want engagement, you need to engage.
Yes, that's the critical piece.
It absolutely is. And I think you gave us some great information, and I loved that scheduler on, hey, you should be posting, one time on Facebook between these, 9 and 11. And if you're using, what was that, Twitter 3 to 5 times a day, holy cow,
I know,
that's
right?
a lot. Yeah.
That's a lot. So,
It certainly is. But you know what? If you are that person, or if you have somebody in your agency, like you said, have them start doing it. Have them start doing all those posts, getting involved in your community and posting that on your social media platforms is really important. So thank you so much. If anybody has any other, I think we might have some more questions.
No, I was like, what is the discussion of day 2? So tomorrow we're talking about, Laura, help me. It's email marketing tomorrow.
It is.
You're not going to want to miss that. It is my jam. Love email marketing, and it's not what you think. So make sure you make time for that tomorrow. That'll be great fun. And then Thursday is website best practices. So, I love my social media, but I love my email marketing. So.
That's awesome. And we can't wait to have you back tomorrow. Awesome. Let's see, to address questions. Oh, that was, all right. I think we're good with the questions.
Awesome. Well,
all right.
If you have more, save them. We'll answer them tomorrow too. So if you think of something later, tune in tomorrow, and we'll do the email marketing, and we'll do Q&A, and we can always revert back to some social media answers too if we need them.
Yes, for sure. Well, thanks, everybody. We'll hang out here for just a couple more minutes in case you want to deep dive into some questions. We can unmute you if you would like, and you can ask Joel any of those questions. Thanks, everybody, and have a great day.